Okay, let's start. This is lecture 16 for incident response technology class. As one student asked that reconnaissance tool slide, I have updated twice. Basically, before last class, I updated some, and in the last class, we find some command they have changed. They have the updated version. So the command line option, the file is different. So I updated the reconnaissance tool slides again. So for today's class, I try to download this new one. Still, you go to lecture 14 to download this download link. Basically, the file on the web course has been updated. The one update is for Fierce. Remember last time we explained that the straightforward way to use Fierce has a lot of issues. One is that the default dictionary list for Fierce has more than 2,000 entries. So that means it needs to send more than 2,000 DNS query, which is a flood of DNS query to local DNS server. So if you want to test this one, don't test it directly. You need to modify the dictionary list. But last time, in the previous version of Kali Linux, it was saved in USR share Fierce folder. But in the newer version of Kali Linux, it has changed its saved place. It actually saved in this USR share a mass. I don't know what this folder means. A mass word list. Actually, in the word list, it contains many dictionary lists. It's like dictionary list for offline password cracking, dictionary list for online web account password guessing. So there are many dictionary lists in this folder. One of the files under this folder is this Fierce host list. So if you go to your Kali Linux, I have already come to this folder. It's USR share mass word list. So if you check this folder, why I have this? It's my computer screen. Sorry, it's my computer screen has a white line. It's not. Well, this is a new laptop, but it's only used for 3 months, and this computer screen has some problem. Anyway, so you can see that there are many word lists here, and some of them is used for other purpose. So Fierce is this Fierce host list. So if you check this one, the command is basically show the first 10 line of a text file. So you can see this is a dictionary list. Basically, try to guess what's the domain name that a company may use. Tail is showing the last 10 lines for the text file. And if you use word count, WC is a word count. So count how many characters in a text file. So SL means count how many lines. If we directly use word count, it will show that it has 2,280 lines. It has this many of characters. But of course, if you directly use -L, it only tell you how many lines in this text file. So it has 2280 possible name in it. And that's why if you use the Fierce directly, it will generate so many DNS queries. So before you try it, you should modify this default dictionary list to make it smaller. So I can make this. I can copy Spheres. I can first save it. I save the original one. Then I can like add spheres. Head spheres basically show first 10 line, right? I can make it rewrite to this file. This bigger sign means redirect. That is, we introduced that in the Linux introduction slides, so you should learn that by yourself. So head will show the first 10 line of this file, then using redirect to write the output, basically the first 10 line to this file name. So we basically keep the first 10 line of the file. Then you can check to see that, it doesn't. This spheres is empty. Okay. Okay, I can do something like spheres fake had these two spheres. Let me see if this one works. Okay, so I use head to show the first 10 lines in this backup file. It will be saved here. So it seems we need to add a space. We need to add a space between this in the command line. Now this word list is only 10. So if we now use spheres, but right now all the command has been, the command line has been changed. .dns domain name. Spheres like CIS6395.edu. No, it has changed. Yeah, it has changed the domain name, so we need to use a different. Okay, so from this help, you can see this option, this dash domain, then put domain here. So we use dash domain here, and it doesn't. It's different. It's not the original one. Let me see. Spheres. Originally, it's a DNS example, but that one does not work. DNS domain name. Okay, I haven't tried this, but it has changed. Subdomain. Okay. I need to find what's that command for this normal one, and this one seems does not work. This one has problem. But anyway, I find out that the word list is here. So before you try this normal way, you need to modify it to make it smaller. Otherwise, it will generate too much noise. The effective one we demonstrated last time is that using this reverse DNS lookup, and you can use a public DNS server, so you will not trigger alarm to your local DNS system or local ISP. And you can test for any subnet, like subnet 24, we usually do, because that will generate just 200 DNS queries. So it's not noisy. And so it only have advantage without missing any declared domain. And the case study we have demonstrated in last class, basically demonstrate for UCF, if you want to test in an organization, you first basically find an IP address of, for example, a company's web server. After you find that IP address, you just use that IP address and remove the last decimal, replace it by /24. Then just check that /24 subnet. If you don't worry about generate too much noise, DNS query noise, you do like /16. So that will generate more than 60,000 DNS queries. For any kind of a slash, like /20, you can also do that as well to find out, in the organization, how many IP address has been assigned with a domain name. Then those will be the target for your next attack. This is the older screenshot. Last screenshot, I haven't put it here. So questions are, what are the traffic generated by Fierce in this previous command? As we demonstrated before, you can use Wireshark to capture the Fierce send out traffic on your Kali Linux. Then you can know what traffic it generates. Then you can basically open your Wireshark, then let it run. Yes?
I just want to make sure everything's working today.
Yeah. Right now, everything works. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And after you finish running, you can check and analyze the capture traffic. So that's I will not demonstrate again because we demonstrate using Wireshark to check that. Basically, it's like this Kali Linux will send a lot of DNS query, but this query is called reverse DNS lookup. Basically it will try to find reverse DNS lookup is like if you manually do DNS query, you can use in Kali Linux, you can use dig command. Reverse DNS lookup, you use this command dig -x, then put IP address here. Then the question for this reverse DNS lookup will be like this. It's a PTR record. So the reverse DNS lookup is called PTR record. Normal DNS lookup is type A record. Reverse is PTR record. And the question will be something like this. Basically, it's the IP address you reverse order, then add this in address ARPA, basically means internet format address. Then the answer will give you what's the domain name for that specific IP address. So if we can check dig like -x, -x is this. So you can see that this question section is ask for PTR record. This IN just means internet. So for any DNS record right now, it's always IN here because we only have one internet protocol in the internet world. And the question will be basically the IP address you asked in the reverse order. Then the answer will tell you the PTR record, what's the domain name for that IP address. So this is a domain name, which is a web server for the computer science in UMass. So this is a command, basically doing reverse DNS lookup. So here's, if you do this, it will just send all these reverse DNS lookup to the DNS server. Of course, this is to the Google's DNS server. So from this class on, you should be aware that whenever you try some attacking tools, be aware that whether these attacking tools is harmful, whether it could generate a flood of traffic that could raise alert to your ISP or your system administrator. For example, this appears the default way could possibly raise alarm because you send more than 2,000 DNS query in very short time. So don't try it before you modify the dictionary list. And for the reverse DNS lookup, I would only recommend you to try /24 subnet because it only generates 250 DNS query. So don't try to do this reverse DNS lookup to look up at a /16 subnet. Because /16 subnet means you will generate more than 65,000 DNS query, reverse DNS query to the DNS server. So that's still a flood of traffic, even for your internet service provider. Although most internet service providers, they don't care what kind of flooding traffic you send out. Unless this traffic is really harmful to them, then they will cut you off. But still, it's not good. So make sure that try target with care. Don't try any sensitive target, even if you're not sending harmful traffic to the target. For example, don't try government target or don't try military target because they may have very good monitoring and it could raise trouble for you. Try small amount of downloads or try small amount of sending traffic. And as I said, don't try sensitive targets. We didn't introduce another tool which I introduced in previous years, this MetaGuField, because this program has some problems. So sometimes you cannot be successful. So I will not explain it in the class. A few more words about DNS query. You should know that what does dig, the DNS query do. Like you can use dig ads to put a DNS server to just query on that DNS server. You can try DNS on the public DNS server, not on your local DNS server. And so that's all for the reconnaissance. Let me see. Okay, so in this class, the main content is on this new topic, which is the Splunk. Splunk is called incident response technology software. So let me. And I used many slides from other places because Splunk is from this Splunk company. This software is a company's main product, so it uses the same name as a company name because they start from generating this single software, then they quickly grow up. Of course, right now they have many other security software, but this is still their #1 software product. So the company organized many conference or tutorial workshop to educate their customers and also attract new customers. So this is like in 2017, their what you can think it's like their company's workshop give tutorial. So this is from one of the tutorial. Many slides are coming from that tutorial, getting started with this Splunk Enterprise. And I use some slides from here, but this Washington University's slide is gone, so I couldn't find it right now. So what is Splunk? Splunk is belonging to, let me search, EISN. It's not called incident response software. I just don't remember that acronym. EISN. Does anyone know the name online? Because I just don't remember the acronym. It's not called incident response management software. It's more like a
it's a SIEM.
SIEM, S-I-E-M.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. S-I-E-M. Okay, yeah, thank you. I just forgot this acronym. It's a security information and event management. So you can Google search it and find what does this mean. It's basically this is like most used software in the IT security department for many companies, for middle range, large range companies. Splunk is one of them. There are several other companies. They are also producing such kind of SIEM software, SIEM software for company to use. Like UCF, this is this website. Let me put it here. So it's called incident event security information and event management software. Okay, so UCF is using, let me find it, what's the software used by UCF? ArcSight, I think that's the name. Yes, UCF is using this one. ArcSight is enterprise security manager software, but you can see it also belongs to SIEM, SIEM. How does this work? Actually, this is also one of the popular software, and UCF bought it I think in 2017, UCF started to use this software. I don't know whether they are using it right now or they have changed another software, but it's very similar to Splunk. Their interface is look almost the same. Maybe some command is different, but the interface, the usage, the search, the analysis, almost exactly the same, because every company, they try to copy good idea from another company for the same kind of usage. So if you use one, then you will be able to use all of them. ArcSight is what used by UCF. Okay. So why do we introduce Splunk? Because Splunk has this trial version, has 60-day trial versions that everyone can use, and that's enough for you to learn the basic concept. And there's no, it's very convenient to use. So in the class, I will introduce that. ArcSight, I'm not sure whether it has trial version or not. Oh, I know that why I introduced Splunk in the first place, because Publix, the supermarket Publix, I met their IT department 5 years ago, and they explained to me that they are using Splunk for their company's IT management, and they're looking for people that be familiar with this software and know how to use it. So that's why I think that I need to find how to use this Splunk software and introduce in my class. So that's the reason for this. And you can go to this Wikipedia page to find more information about this SIEM, SIEM software. Okay, so what is Splunk? Splunk is, you can, in analogy, you can think that it's like a Google search engine. Google search engine is for web world, World Wide Web, cyber world. Splunk is a search engine for incident response. What does it mean, incident response? It's basically for a company, in a company like a middle range or large range company, you have a lot of like firewalls, routers, web servers, database servers, all kinds of servers. All those servers, even Windows workstations, all those computers, they have a lot of logs. Like if you set up web server, the web server program have its log. So its log file will log like which client, which IP address send which HTTP GET command to the server, what kind of response from the server to the client. And it also record like if this is illegal access, or if the user tried to log into the server but failed. So all these will be logged by all the servers. So any kind of server, they have this log, even for Windows computer. Whenever you log into a Windows computer, whenever you use it, the action will be logged in its log file. So in a company, you could have tens of hundreds of computers that have all kinds of log files. And those log files are created by different software programs. And for IT security stuff, they needed to collect all these log files, put them together to help them to analyze and find out whether there are some abnormal activities in your system, whether there is some account that has been compromised and doing some suspicious actions. But because these logs they are everywhere, they are on different computers and they are created by different companies' software, they have very different format. So putting them together is a large amount of work. So Splunk is doing that kind of job, collecting all these logs from all these distributed computer servers, because Splunk has this data collector software that you can install on any kind of device, on firewall, on routers. And they can send this log to the central server. Then the central server put all these log files together. So then you can use the Splunk to search. So this is interface for the Splunk. You can put in your search query here. So in that sense, it's also similar to Wireshark. If you Wireshark, you capture network traffic, but there are tens of thousands or millions of packets. Then you need to type in the display filter what traffic you are looking for. Then Wireshark will show the traffic for that. For Splunk, once the central server collects all these log files, there are a lot of entries. You cannot check manually. Then you type in your search in this search field to find specific log entries that satisfy your search. Then it will display out in the bottom part. The bottom part will show all the event log. So we call this incident response because every log file, every entry, we call it as event. So a client connect to the server, that's one event. A remote user log in to a Windows computer, that's another event. So all these, every entry is called event. So all these events that satisfy the search will be put in the bottom field. In the middle field, in the middle window, it will show a simple histogram, basically show how many events in each time window satisfy your search. So that's, you can think that's like a search engine for the event database. Google is like search for all the, it's like a Google-like search of all or most of your log data. And of course, Splunk is more than just a search and show them, because the purpose is help IT security stuff. So Splunk is can be used as a data analytics tool. So you can analyze and present the data in a more easy to understand way to the IT security people. Just like Wireshark contain a lot of analysis tools in it, like a histogram, like the distribution. So Wireshark has those functions. Splunk has the corresponding functions in it as well. So Splunk is built to understand a vast data log format, like a log file on Windows. Windows has like event log, file system log, and the registry, they also log. For Linux, Unix computer, like syslog is a Unix Windows computers, and the file system, it also has a log file. Virtualization software, they also have log files. For database, for web server, like any web server, they have log files. So it will collect all these data. It understands all these data format because it has built in the code to understand all those companies' software format in order to collect data and analyze. For provide comprehensive data analytics, it suck in all the data from servers, Windows, like apps, virtual machines, sensors. All these data log can put together all the machine data, put and input to the Splunk centralized server. Then Splunk can analyze it to provide ask any question, security stuff. They can type in the search field for any questions, and it can help the IT operations to provide many different kind of figures, graphs, because for IT security stuff, it's the best way for them to find anomaly is not show this text, because that's too much. The best way is to show some graphs, some statistical real-time graph. It will be very easily to be seen by experienced IT staff that what is going on, what kind of traffic is abnormal if you show a very nice graph. Whenever and it can also be configured, IT staff, they can put some predefined script threshold. So whenever something go over the predefined threshold, Splunk can send automatic alert, like a text message, email, or other format to inform the IT security people that some alert, some preset threshold has been triggered. So that's the basic idea. Collect data from anywhere. Of course, this slide is from the Splunk company, so they claim they collect data from anywhere. But it's just for all the popular software or hardware products, Splunk have already built in the module to understand those data format. Search and analyze everything. Data, because all the data put in is unconstructed data, and just like so unconstructed data, and it will have its own way to organize those data to help you to search and find. Gain real-time operational intelligence, because Splunk can generate those real-time statistical graphs and show up in real time. So that will help IT security staff. So traditional database is a structured relation-based database. For example, SQL is a relational database. All the data entries, they are well structured. But for Splunk is unstructured database. In recent years, unstructured database become more popular because of the reason is that all the big data, all the data, they're not generated from one program. They're generated by many programs. Like healthcare data, it's generated by different healthcare software. So all the data, they may have different format. If you want to put them together to analyze this big data, all the data, they are unconstructed because they are not using the same format. So right now, there are many database software, they can process unstructured data. Like Hadoop is one well-known large size database software can deal with that. Splunk is will do this universal indexing for unstructured data. So this is a Splunk overall process. The first module is collect data. So Splunk software is not just one software, but in this class, I will only introduce that Splunk Enterprise software that you can run on your computer. Basically, that's a central Splunk server. But for the collecting data, it means that Splunk has this data collector module. It's a small program that you can install it on firewall, on routers, on gateways, on Windows computer, Linux computer, Apple computer, all kinds of device. So this is Splunk collector. There are many different Splunk collector. Just one is for specific software or hardware. Their purpose is to collect the data log and send to the Splunk centralized database server in real time. So that's the data collector. Now in the Splunk Enterprise, the centralized server, it will index those data and provide the search and explore function to administrator, to IT security staff. It can alert and action. Basically means you can set some preset, some threshold, write some simple script, put in the Splunk to do this real-time data analysis. Whenever some threshold has been triggered, it will generate alert and corresponding action. Enriched data, I'm not exactly sure what this enriched data means. Report and visualization, this means Splunk can generate this real-time statistical graph, and also can generate text report to show to IT security staff or send out. And analyze and predict, it has some included module that can give simple predefined analyze and predict. And IT security staff, they can also program on Splunk to write code, write script in Splunk to do their own analysis. because Splunk provides this API, this software development kit and the SDK, so you can write your own program running in this Splunk environment to do your own specialized, customized search and analyze. Okay, for Splunk server mainly has two parts. So we're not talking about a Splunk data collector. Data collector is another part, is installed on all these distributed devices. In the Splunk centralized server, it actually contains two parts. One is a Splunk D. Splunk D is a Splunk daemon. You can think this is the core server of the Splunk. And another is a Splunk Web. So Splunk Web, you can think that this is like a graphic user interface for user. Just like Wireshark. Wireshark is basically the core of Wireshark is T-Shark. So T-Shark do all the packet capturing analysis, all the coding, the main part. But Wireshark provide very nice graphic user interface. So Splunk Web is this part that provides user interface in order for user to use. Splunk Web, you can see that this interface, graphic user interface, is built not by Splunk software itself. It's built to show it in this web format. So user use browser to utilize Splunk. So IT security stuff, for example, a person from IT security department in UCF, if he can go to different classroom, professor's office, if their computer has some problem, then he can use his laptop and log in to this Splunk server from any place, and he can use browser to access to log in to the Splunk server. So that's the Splunk Web. This is a free version we introduced. It deal with limited data per day, but it's enough for our introduction. You can download the Splunk from here. When you first download, you need to input your name and your email address, and they will send an activation code to your email address automatically. So basically, once you put your username and email address, you can get the activation code in a few minutes. And this Splunk Enterprise you can download this free trial version. Like here, go to the upper part, you can see this free Splunk. And the free Splunk, you need to input some information here and say software download. And because this is a security software and it's a mature commercial software, so you can download and install it on your host operating system. You don't need to install it on your virtual machine, because virtual machine by itself is much slower than your host OS. So in order to run Splunk smoothly, it's better to use it on your host, on your own computer's operating system. So it will be faster. After installation, you can use this to convert to the free version. Then, because normally it's a 60-day trial version, but here this document shows how you can convert it to be a free version of Splunk. So you don't need to worry about after 6 days you need to reinstall it again. But 60-day trial is enough for the class, so you don't need to convert it to the free version. Okay, so once you install it, basically when you install it, it will ask you to input an account username and password. So that's the account that you are going to log in once you finish the installation. Splunk use browser to provide graphic user interface. What's the question? The student asked, did anyone get a message saying Splunk has temporarily suspended your access? I don't know. If you get this message, probably you can uninstall your Splunk and download and reinstall it again. Because maybe you have installed Splunk, the cloud version, like many months ago, and the cloud version has expired. And you can download a fresh one. You can use a different email address to download, so they will not know that you have used this before. The first time when you install it, you will create a username and password. Then when you first run Splunk, you need to put in that username and password. Message appears right after signing up. Can you try to sign up to see whether you can download the Splunk? Because yesterday I downloaded, but I have an account with Splunk created last year, so I use that account login. But I can download the newer version and install it on this computer without any problem. Splunk actually, when you run it, it actually is like this. It runs in this. You can see this. This is what? This connection is to like 127.0.0.1 8000. So this Splunk, once you install it, Splunk will run Splunk D in the backend on your computer. And when you want to use it, you use browser to connect to this local web server. And on this port 8000, then you can connect to the Splunk D. Basically, Splunk D is running in the background as a web server. The web server is listening on port 8000 because it doesn't want to conflict with any web server you're running on your computer beforehand. So it uses the default port. Of course, you can configure this configuration file to change this port number. But when you want to access Splunk, you are using this way to access Splunk. Basically, is this. And then your username and password is basically you create it when you install it. So can you download the Splunk? It's downloading right now. Okay. And so it's HTTPS connection, but no, I'm not sure whether it's HTTPS connection. I think it's HTTPS connection. But the browser warn you this is not secure because, of course, we don't have a digital certificate for this local Splunk web server. So the browser give you this one. Yeah. So you have already downloaded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's wrong. The student say he tried different email address, but still denied again. I'm not sure. Well, I have a download version for Windows, so I can upload to the web course. So if you're running Windows, you can use that link. But I don't have the installation version for Apple computer or Linux computer. So once you do that, you sign in. So this is the interface for Splunk. So Splunk, basically, if you want to access Splunk server, you don't need to install Splunk software on your own computer. You can access the Splunk server from any place. You just use a web browser connecting to the Splunk server's IP address on port 8000. Then you can connect to that Splunk server. Right now, because the Splunk server is running on my own computer, and I use this browser to access. So this address is this local IP address. So it's a web browser-based graphic user interface and remote access for the Splunk. Actually, that's the trend for many recent software. They provide this. They are not generating specialized client software that for any user, if you want to use it, you install this client software to access the server. For Splunk, it's like any user, you don't need to install any software. You can use your browser to access this server. So that's a trend. The reason is that the advantage is that a user can remote access and use the software from anywhere. So you can even using a computer in a public hotspot to access this server. Remote user does not need any client-side software installation. The disadvantage is that it relies on the graphic and interaction function provided by browser. For example, when you want to have a colorful browser interface, you need to use like a JavaScript or CGI script or some other PowerScript language that's supported by browser. So your graphic user interface will be limited by those script functions. So you may not create a very fancy graphic user interface. If you generate the client software by yourself, by the company themselves, then you can generate very, very fancy, very colorful, dynamic interface. But browser can only provide such kind of interface, then you don't have those colorful interface. Secondly, it may suffer the same web-based attack because you are relying on browser to connect. So for the introduction, we mainly use the slides coming from this tutorial in this Splunk workshop. Before you start, you need to download this tutorial data file, which is a very small zip file. You can use this short URL to download that zip file. The zip file is very small. It's just 1.9 kilobytes. 1.9 megabytes zip data. If you unzip it, you can see that this zip file contains these folders. Basically, this zip file contains data log from a mail server. This is a data log from the email server. Email software has this generate this secure log, and vendor sale is just a pure text log from this vendor machine. This is the 3 web servers. Like if you run web server using this Linux Apache software, that is a very popular web server software running in Linux. Then by default, it will generate 2 log files. One is access. It will save all the login information to the web server. Secure, this log is it only save abnormal traffic to the web server. So these are the two security logs by this Apache web server. So this is this zip file. And because we cannot install data collector on any distributed system, that's too hard for us, for the student individually to do this test. And also setting up data collector, you need to download the corresponding data collector software. And I don't know how you can download that free one freely. So in the class, I will only introduce how you can analyze data. Suppose you have already collected data, like this zip file is data log you have already collected. Now you want to use Splunk to analyze this collect data. Just like Wireshark, you can use Wireshark to capture real network traffic to analyze, or you can use Wireshark to analyze existing PCAP trace file and analyze and find some information. So we will only introduce that add data to this Splunk to analyze this already collected data. So after you log into the web interface, you can click the add data to add this tutorial data.zip to the data set. So this is the interface after you log in. You can click this add data. Well, this is like a take tour. Okay, so this is take tour. I will just skip take tour. And so you can get data from cloud computing network in there are many other ways. And we can also get data in the following method, upload like a file from your computer. So we will use this to upload the file. Now this add data has 4 steps. So first step is select file. And we will just put this zip file. You cannot download zip file. Let me. Okay, I downloaded yesterday, so it seems it's Amazon's cloud server has some problem. Okay, let me put it on the web course. So, oh, it's already done. It's downloaded. It takes a longer time, but let me put it here. Okay, if you cannot download the tutorial zip from that web, you can download from here, from web course. So just copy and paste this link. It took a little bit while. Okay, I just introduced how do you add data. So first select the file. We have finished that. Then you click the next, and you can create a project name. This is called host field value. From my understanding, it's like you create a name for the data set that you import. Because Splunk, you can import many different data sets. So if you want to distinguish those data sets, you give different name for different data sets. So later on, you can distinguish them. You can treat them as the same, or you can treat each data set differently. So we will just use this CIS6395, like 21. So for tutorial data. So I give this name. And for the other options, you can just use the default. You don't need to change. Here is the review of what information you have used, then submit, then it will upload the data. After that, you can add more data, or you can start searching. Well, it's tutorial. I will skip tutorial. So this is interface, the default interface. And you can see that the search right now, it already have something here. Basically, this means that all the data listed down here is about the source, about this source, about this host. So remember, host is the name you give to this data set you upload. So it calls the host name. So if you want to search for a specific data set, you can always put the host equal to that name in search field, then add additional search entries after that. Then basically it means that you only focus on this data set. If you don't put a host here, then it will search all the data sets you have already imported to the Splunk. So this one shows that it has 109,000 events. So in Splunk, every data log entry is called event, because this is incident response software. And here list some events, and the time is it lists in the reverse time order. Basically, most recent event will list on the top. The reason is that if you are using Splunk in the real time, if you are administrator, if you IT security staff, of course you want to see most recent packet, most recent event. So that's why the most recent event will list on the top, and going down is so that the order of those events is in the reverse time order. And these are the events. And here is a histogram. So here you can see if you move your mouse, it will show how many events on that particular time period. So here is one time period is 1 day. So it shows in each day how many data in each day. And here this time field is the interpreted time, because every log entry, they always have a timestamp. But of course, the timestamp format for different logs could be different because they are generated by different software. This interpreted time is how Splunk process the raw data timestamp and interpret what's the time for that event. Sometimes they are exactly the same, sometimes they are slightly different. Because remember, your data could be collected from different time zones. So in different computer, in different time zone, they are, even for the event happening at the same time, the timestamp may be different. So Splunk also need to take care of that. So this is interpreted time by Splunk. here it will list the raw data in that event, in that log entry. And here just to show this is belong to this host, belong to this source. Also, you can see this is belong to this vendor sale .log, vendor sale .log. And that's the basic interface. In my screenshot, I use this Buttercup web as the name, but that is copied from this tutorial slide. So in the class, I name it different. You start searching, so that's the list. So if you give this a different host name, it will show up here. Buttercup game is basically the web server in that data log. Remember, there are 3 web server in the log in the search, and you can and this search field is like just like Wireshark. If you type partial name, it will try to fill in the entire name based on whatever exists. So it will help you make sure you don't type in wrong. So this is a keyword. Then you can see that it's still processing. So there are 36,000 events that have this keyword. It doesn't mean that it's always in the URL, but it just means it has this keyword in it. So the left panel, it will show the field. For example, the source, if you click, it will show that all these events show up. They come from these 3 sources. It's the web 1, web 2, web 3 access log. And they all coming from one host. Remember, the host is the name we give to the dataset. Right now, my Splunk only has 1 dataset, so it of course belongs to this single host. Source type. I'm not exactly sure what the source type means here, but we're not using that. Some other field like, so here is Splunk interpreted field in the data. If the data, the Splunk think that this is a web server's log entry, then Splunk can extract the corresponding field and show up here, like version. It will show 1.1 version, because HTTP 1.1 is the web server version. So Splunk understands the web server's log, so it will interpret those fields. And these tabs are all the field that is understood by Splunk and extracted by Splunk, like status. Remember, for web traffic has like 200 OK, like 400 error code, so the object not found. So here just showed all the status code Splunk extracted from the web log. And it just showed 200, this code has 31,000 events. And for this error code, it has so many events. So it will give you this very rough analysis. And for the histogram, by default, you can see this in this search field. Here, there is a button here. Right now, it shows all time. It just means right now, this search, we are search for the event that happened in all time. But you can narrow down this time. For example, you can show only last 1 hour window, suppose you are using Splunk in real time, you can show the window only show the event happened in the last 30 minutes or last 5 minutes or last 1 minute window, because there are so many data entry you collected, accumulated, so you cannot search for all the time in the real world application. You always narrow down for the last like 1 day, last 1 hour, those kind of things. So like last 4 days, last 24 hours. So these are preset time. You can also use like a date range, like the event before which day. So there are many ways for you to preset the time. And another way is simply quickly go down through the histogram. Right now, the histogram, each bar showed 1 day event. So suppose you are interested in this, in the second day, because the first day has very small number of events. Second day, we have so many events. So if I want to show only that second day, I can double click this entry. Then you can see this time period has changed. Basically, it will show only event happened during that 1 day. You can see this time period, it has been changed to be date range between 0 hour from October 12 to 0 hour to 24 hour of October 12. So all this is showing for the event happening in that particular 1 day. If you're interested in, so now every bar represents basically 1 hour. So if you're interested in 1 hour, you can double click. Now the data is showed for that particular 1 hour time. And now each bar in histogram represent 1 minute. So that's how you can drill down the histogram to narrow down the time range when you do the search. Like I can double click here. Then it showed this is in 1 minute, like 9:21 to 9:22 in 1 minute, what event. Those events that contain this buttercup games keyword in them. And suppose we're interested in the web server request, and we are not interested in the 200 OK, those normal web requests and response. We're interested in some bad requests, for example, unrecognized web request, or if the user try to get an object that does not exist on the web server, then you can check the corresponding error code. Like suppose you're interested in this 400 error code, you can put in, like, for example, 400, just this. But this does not mean that 400 is the time is, I need to change back to old time. Old time is real time. It's old time is preset. Old time is this one, not the real time, because we are dealing with this data log, not real time. So
speaking of time,
yes.
What do you have to convert anything ever? Is there a conversion tool that you recommend to convert the time?
You mean the preset time?
Yeah, like a conversion time to convert to a specific.
This old time, real time is like you show anything happening in real time, but we are not collecting any data in real time. So we should use this old time. Basically, any data entry in the data set will be will be included. Yeah. But this 400 does not mean this 400 is always in that HTTP response code, because if your data log happen to have 400, these 3 characters in some other place, it will also show up here. So a better search is using a field name equal to 400 to do this search. But I think time is up, so I will show that in next class. So after this class, make sure that you install Splunk on your own computer, and then next class you can follow this instruction and do it by yourself.
Well, since we're having so much fun, can we go to just 12? Can we go longer?
What?
I guess not. I don't know.
sorry, because this Zoom is in the classroom. Your voice is echoing around, so it's very hard for me to understand. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. See you this Wednesday. Oh no, today is Wednesday. Sorry. See you next Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
See you
you.
on Monday.
Bye.